Cool. So we at least have you, Dana and Viviana, you are on different teams this week, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So we have a representative from each. Dana, would you like to go first?
Sure. Okay. Viviana and Rafa kindly agreed to take the larger issue this week as Deb was going to be out of the country. So our function this week was to add a delete button. And so it appears next to the item on the list view. You can click the delete button and a dialog box pops up that ensures that you want to do that destructive action. Are you sure you want to delete that celery? Okay, let's do that. And then it goes away and it's removed from the list. So if you look at the list, the top item is frozen pizzas. If I go here and I delete frozen pizzas, you'll see it's now gone. Now the top item is secret sauce. If I didn't want to delete something, like I said, oh, I definitely want that organic spinach, I can cancel out and it's still there. And the code for this week is adding a button. If I can find my button. Here's a button with the delete button class. When we click it, it calls the delete item function, passing in the particular item from the list. And then we go up here to the delete item function, pass in that document, pop in the confirm box. You're sure you want to do this with the text? If so, then we go ahead and delete it from the database by its ID, which is that weird auto-generated ID right here. And Tanner, I just saw your comment about is async await needed here, and I'll process that. But what I'm getting from the gist of what you're saying is it's probably not. So I'll go back and look at that.
That was mostly me poking fun at JavaScript, actually, because window.confirm is awaiting your interaction, but you don't actually have to await it like a promise, like I would just assume you would have to do. But it's just like, it just stalls on that line for you until the user interacts with it. And I thought that was just a funny JavaScript thing. It wasn't actually a comment on your code, but I do think you're right that the await is probably not necessarily required here, but it doesn't really matter either way. But yeah, I was mostly just poking fun on the JavaScript spec for operating that way on line 35.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and stop.
Thank you. I liked how you had put the name of the item in your confirm instead of not just like, do you want to delete, or are you sure you want to delete, right? Question mark. But you can see like, oh yeah, that was the thing I clicked. Maybe I clicked the wrong button. That's really good. On the async await thing, one thing to consider is that if the function gets changed in the future where we actually would want to know when the thing was over, it might not be like if you took out async await, even though it's not needed right now, when somebody went to go use that in the future, there could be a subtle bug where we aren't actually waiting for the thing to finish and they were expecting it to happen. So I think it makes sense to kind of have it there just to signal that this is an async function that's happening. And then if somebody else were to use that function in the future, it would automatically work the way they expected it to.
So I lucked out this week, yay. All
there
right.
You go.
Thank you for the why behind it. That helped solidify the understanding in my brain. Thank you both.
Yeah, sure. All right, Viviana is up with the beast of an issue.
Yeah, I went to go review that this morning and I saw Rob, you went to town on that MR. So I was like, oh.
I was making up for the last 3 weeks. Sorry.
Yeah,
no,
I enjoyed
it was
reading
very helpful.
Yeah.
It was nice because you were touching on this issue and like the issue before. So like, oh crap, there's a lot to do. So no, but that was helpful. Okay. So I have like a brand new list. It's empty. So I'll add my first item. So if I do cheese soon, I'll add that.
Can we get a quick recap of what we're looking at first?
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, just want to jump right into it. So for this issue, we're supposed to sort the list based on how soon you're going to purchase it. So the ones that if you click the first one, yeah, it should be like in this order: soon, kind of soon, not soon. And then there's supposed to be the inactive items, which we thought made sense to have like at the very bottom. I know like Rob and I talked about keeping it like in the list, so I'm not really sure what we think is best for that. But
Yeah. We can talk about it.
yeah, and also like, yeah, I want to talk about like if, yeah, okay, we'll talk about it when we get there. So yeah, so I said cheese, and then we'll do bread kind of soon. And then we'll do pizza not soon. Okay, so yeah, so you'll see here that it's green and then yellow and red. And I think these are also sorted alphabetically. So if I did avocado, auto, soon, that should go above cheese. Yeah, so I'm pretty sure this is sorted alphabetically. And then as for an item being inactive, we said that that's only when the time elapsed is double what was estimated, I think. Is that what we like agreed on finally? Yeah, I think that was kind of confusing, like when an item should be inactive, but I think like since we settled on that, it's like a lot more clear. So then for avocado, we said 7 days. So let me see if I can make it inactive. Let's see. So then if I change this to, let's see, 14 days have to pass. So if I just change this to the 1st, then I think it should be inactive. I don't know if I'm doing the math right. No. Let's see. So if I say it's the 1st and the estimated next search is 7 days, so 14 days have passed. Yeah, I think this is supposed to turn inactive. So I'm not sure why it's not. So my math is wrong.
Your math sounds right to me.
Yeah.
I
it's
think you
working.
may,
Go ahead.
are you looking at last purchase date? Or
Yeah, you want to
Oh, yeah.
purchase it.
Oh, you're right. You're right. Okay.
Oh,
And
there we go.
now- Okay, so now the estimated next purchase is 19 days. So then that's a lot of math. Okay. So then I have to move it back. I don't even know. Can I just do like a month ago? Let's see. Sorry.
I think you
No,
might still have to update the last purchase date instead of the date added.
Oh, you're right. Okay. That makes sense. Okay. I swear it was working. So we
maybe
said
if you did
the-
January 2nd.
Yeah, okay. That makes sense.
And you'll need a 02 in that instead of just 2.
Okay, so we added it the 1st, we last purchased it the 2nd, and we estimated 19 days, so that's already been elapsed, I think. Yeah, okay, cool. It does work. I was like, oh no.
Yeah, you got
Okay, yeah.
this. You got this.
Okay, yeah, so now it's inactive. Okay, so that makes sense. Okay, so as for the code, we'll go over here. So we used order by here, which is something that Firestore offers. We thought it makes sense to first have them order it alphabetically and then sort it. But I know Robbie said we should just do the sorting all together at once. I'm not too sure how to do the alphabetical part on my own.
Yeah, we can maybe talk about it after the call or
Yeah.
or whatever. But this works. Basically, what you're doing is you're saying I'm sorting it by alphabetically first, and then
Yeah.
I'm doing the other thing. And so because it's a stable sort and the things kind of stay in the order that they were in, the alphabetical sort kind of it doesn't go away because you're just kind of grouping things, and within those groups, the alphabetizing is staying there.
Mhm.
But my comment was just that it's not immediately obvious when looking at the code that that is what is happening. And so if we
Okay.
can put all of the sorting logic together, then I think it would be easier for other people to understand.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay. So after we have this sorted, oh, thank you, by the way.
Mhm.
After we have this sorted alphabetically, then we, in the use effect is when we do all the sorting. So first we hold value, which we get from here, the React hook from it. We like grab the data and throw it in an array to do all the sorting. So that makes things a lot easier. So this is what we're doing here. We just need a new array. And I saw you said you could just do this in a map, which makes sense. So we have it in an array now, and then we looped through each document and added a handle active to see whether or not, to check whether or not the item is active or not. And we didn't save that to the database. We just did this locally. So then once we have that, then we sorted it by the estimated next purchase. And then we sorted it by if it's active or not. So we have all the inactive ones at the bottom. So for cancel active, yeah. So this was already a helper function that we had before to calculate the day since the last purchase date. So then if the time elapsed, like I said last time, if it's double, then yeah, false, if not true. So then down here, we also have this to set like the class name for that. So make it either green, yellow, or red. And then I saw your comment that this naming doesn't make too much sense, which I agree with. So I'll change that. And then down here, so instead of mapping through value like we were originally, now we're mapping through items, like the new sorted array that we have. So in class name, we have set color, and then we use this ARIA label, which I think that was in the AC, just so like screen readers could have that as well. And I think that's it. Yeah. And then, oh no, last thing. And yeah, in the get estimate, I just added this part. Because like if you add an item and then you say like you'll buy it in 7 days, but you click it immediately, then if like we didn't have this, it would say your estimate of next purchase is 0, which I thought didn't make sense. So I thought maybe if it would we could just keep with the original guesses instead of saying the estimate is 0. Was my thought, at least. I'm not sure.
Interesting. So you're saying if you add an item and you immediately check it off, it will say that your estimated next purchase is 0 days?
Yeah, because it'll show you just what day since last transaction is. And since you bought it immediately, like right when you added it, it would be 0 days.
I see.
Yeah, so I was trying to do what to do for like that case. So I thought it made sense to just return the original estimate.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that makes
okay.
sense to me.
Yeah, because you're already telling it, like when you're adding it to the list, when you need it. So why not rely on that, what you just told it, like, I need it then.
Mhm.
Yeah. And then I think that's it. I know there's a lot. So yeah, thank you for following all that.
No problem. I have a quick question. Can we look at the set color
Yeah.
function one more time?
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I was just comparing that to the ARIA label documentation, and I think that could work.
Okay.
I don't know if it's 100% optimal, but I think a screen reader would parse that just fine.
Okay.
But I will share that here just in case anyone's wondering.
Yeah, I feel like I definitely need to get better at my accessibility knowledge.
Yeah, it's very much its own skill. Like when
Yeah.
web dev, there's 1,000 different things to know, and yeah, but it's good to know.
Yeah, for sure.
So this is something that I didn't actually end up testing, but I guess 2 things. First, the thing that you, when you were showing editing in the database, the date, when you changed the date added it to a while ago, it didn't mark the item inactive. That's and then we realized that it was because it should be changing the last purchase date. But I wonder if that actually should work for the original one, where if you add an item, say that it's 7 days and 14, 15, whatever, 20 days later, you haven't purchased it, if that should also be considered inactive.
That's a good point. Yeah, I think it should then, right? Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. Yeah.
And then the other thing was the stuff around the estimated next purchase. That's what I mostly was concerned about in the PR. Did you get a chance to play with that at all? Or did it make sense? Or
from your comments? No, I haven't been able to look at it too much.
So, and maybe, I don't know if we want to do this now or later, but we could probably test it the same way you were testing the inactive. If you had an item that was, let's say the 14-day one, I guess. And if you change the purchase date to like 8 days ago or something like that, right? Then that 14-day item should now be in the soon category, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because it would now be only like 6 days away.
Okay.
And that's the thing that I didn't actually go in and test, but and I haven't studied the code thoroughly, but that my assumption is that that isn't working yet based on what I was
No,
reading.
it's not. Okay, so the item should be moving up, like as the date is getting closer. It shouldn't just stay there. Okay, yeah, that makes
Right.
sense. Okay, cool.
What does that mean for the issue then? Do we need to take that into this week and solve for that, Viviana, then?
I think so,
You
yeah.
and me? You and me and me and you. Sounds good.
Yeah, cool. That's really helpful. Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, the dates are not fun.
Yeah.
At least not when they're not working, right? But thank you for the demo. And who's up next?
That'll be me. We're doing retros now.
I
I'm
object.
gonna...
I don't think we should do retros if everyone's not here. I wouldn't want to
Yeah.
say anything behind somebody's back that I wouldn't say to their face. I feel weird about it. Just putting that out there in the spirit of being open.
Sure. Yeah, maybe we can focus on the positive things then. Yeah, because hopefully we have some appreciations in what went wells and
She has positive things that she wouldn't say to people's faces, though.
I would like to hold those back also. No, it's okay.
Yeah, we'll have one more retro too that hopefully everyone will be able to make after we've styled everything, and so fingers crossed that everyone can make it. It seems to be a bit difficult schedules, but I did share the link there in the TCL-37 chat if everyone wants to open that up. Cool. So I think I might set a timer here and we can all go to town on the board here and leave our thoughts. Maybe we can do 8 minutes, and at the 8-minute mark, we can check back and see how everyone's feeling. Cool. Okay, timer started. Feel free to say some things behind people's backs or only positive. We're closing in on the halfway mark. The board is getting nice and full, but take your time. Is anyone still punching something out? Don't want to cut anyone off. Yeah, okay. Cool. We got 3 more minutes then. Okay, closing in on our last minute here, but if anyone does need extra time, take your time. This board got real full for such a short, for such a small crowd this week.
All right, I did my best.
Cool. Yeah, it looks like everyone did their best. We've got some reading material to work through. Is everyone wrapped up then? Feeling good? Okay, cool. Well, maybe I can, for the sake of this part, share my screen here. That way we can all kind of look at the same thing. Cool. Can start top left down. Dana, you want to go first with your comment?
Yes, thanks for the fun office hours, Rob. We learned a lot about development in general and about your background and some specific topics in web that we were discussing, like Web3 and other things and numbers and all sorts of stuff. So it was a really good use of time to be able to have that kind of conversation with somebody that's in development. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, I had fun ranting.
Yeah, it was cool. I enjoyed myself too.
Yeah,
Tanner,
talking to
can
Rob
you
is fun.
zoom in on the window or make the window
Oh, yeah.
smaller?
Yes. Let me.
Perfect,
Go.
thanks.
No problem at all. All right. Well, here's a nice little transition, Rob. This is
Yeah, so
you know,
I really liked Yunli's tips at the beginning about communicating when you're having an off day. And I think in general, that's a really good I don't know what I'm trying to say. It's really good when leaders on the team and or more senior developers set an example by making those kinds of conversations expected and normal.
mhm. Yeah, I second that, especially with work-life balance expectations. And I find that sometimes it's really nice to see a very senior dev say, I'm going to look at that on Monday, on a Friday afternoon, and be like, oh, okay, like, yeah, that's good. And that's just another example of that. But I think especially in a remote workplace where body language is less of a thing that you can pick up on, being extra communicative in that sense is very nice. Good point. Dana, this one's you again.
Viviana and Rafa for taking that monster issue. Really appreciate the extra effort to help balance with our challenges this week with collaborating with each other. It will never be forgotten. Thank you so much.
Yeah, that's a doozy. was a lot.
Yeah. Okay. Rafa's not here, but I'll still shout them out. Yeah, they were very, very patient with me during pair programming. I will say, like, sorting is definitely not my strong suit. I was very flustered the whole time we were working on the issue, and they were just very patient. I also noticed it's really hard for me to grasp someone speaking code out loud. I definitely need practice with that. So they would repeat things like 2 to 3 times just to make sure like I understood what they were saying. That's very hard. I didn't know I was kind of bad at it. So yeah, they're just like very, very kind the whole time. So it was nice.
Yeah, I think pair programming is a really good place to get better at that. The constant conversations help a lot. Cool. This one's me. This is just an acknowledgement for how far we've come. We've built a whole damn app in the last few weeks. And now we're just working on making it look pretty, which can be the fun part and also the frustrating part. But it's the part that comes to life the quickest. So I'm looking forward to see where it goes from here.
And then yeah, just Rob for the beautiful PR comments. Again, I'm not really good at sorting, so I'm glad that you offered so much help. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Yeah, if there's one thing you can count on Rob to do, it's to get it sorted. That's what I always say.
And then that's me again. Oh, then yeah, Dana was so nice to offer to mob. That was really nice. So appreciate that. Love it.
I'm a mobster.
Yeah, that was so nice of you. Yeah. So yeah, I appreciate it.
I'm sorry I didn't offer sooner.
No, you're fine.
So I want to acknowledge that Rob and Tanner for the detailed feedback on the PRs, and also jumping on responding to the questions yesterday on such a hard thing. So you're like, oh, sorry for the long wall of text, but it's like, really talking through really helped. That was great. And then everyone on the team did a great job of communicating and expressing your needs and flexibility. I think that's like a very a strong skill set to have on the team, because when you're able to express your needs, it's a very efficient way of working together, and I really love that.
Yeah, and this team did it really quickly too. Like there was I didn't see a learning curve happen. Like everyone was just like, oh, we're gonna talk in Slack. Okay, we'll talk in Slack. I've seen other Collab Lab teams have that learning curve, and it was really impressive to see everyone mesh so well together so quickly. It was cool. Rob,
yeah, and mine echoes what Dana was saying earlier, to Viviana and Rafa for taking on the difficult issue for Dana and Deb's sake. Great job.
Cool.
Oh, then yeah, I think you answered like pretty quickly to my Slack message. So I was very, very thankful for that, Tanner. That was really nice. I was kind of worried when I sent like a long question. I was like, I don't know if anyone's gonna respond to this like this late in the week too. So when I saw you respond, I was like, thank God.
Yeah. It's you found me at the perfect downtime between. I had like 30 minutes between meetings. I was like, I was looking for something to do, so that
So
helped.
nice.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Cool. Yeah, no problem at all. Dana, this next one's you. We're moving columns now.
Okay, what went well? Very helpful code review comments. Thank you, Robin Tanner. Very much appreciate it. Like, I don't care what the comment's about, like if it can be done differently or it should be done differently, or there's a different way to do it, or it would be better done such and such way. I love to hear all about it because I would like very much to improve how I code and how I communicate. So any comment that you leave to me is like a gift, like, okay, let me look at that. What does that say? What does that mean? How can it be done? Oh yes, that looks good. So thanks.
Of course. Yeah. Viviana, this
Okay.
next one's you.
Yeah, I think it was just nice hearing like both yours and Rob's perspective on like what my question was, and then being able to take all that and then take that to Rafa and us work with like what you guys provided us. So yeah, I thought that was like that went really well. So
Yeah, and I would say that's very accurate, at least to my experience on the job. Lots of conversations like that happening in threads and taking that to the active participants on the project and deciding what to make of it. So I think that was a good experience. And nice work. I mean, I don't know if I wrote it here. I might have, but nice work bringing that up, because you could have just went off and assumed things, but you asked and it resulted in a better solution. So.
Yeah, we second that. I think that's my point next to. It's like asking really good clarifying questions on requirements and not making assumptions. That's good. And then just sticking through such a difficult task. I think with all the issues, this is probably the most, like the top most difficult one to work on, because there's so many things involved, and then also how the requirements is written. It's pretty unclear.
Yeah.
That's something we need to take it back to Stacey and Andrew to revisit. Yeah, so that was really great.
thank you.
Oh, and pairing with Viviana, always fun. I always have fun working with you. Thank you for being so open to having somebody else look at the code with you and talk through it together. It's cool.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun too. Thank you. And then going over the issue with with Rob was really great. So yeah, like we went over the issue, it's very helpful. And then again, like taking that and reporting back to Rafa was like really well. So that was nice. And then the fact that you even also like responded on Slack too is very helpful. So yeah.
I want to commend Dana for offering to mob. Like that is pretty sweet. Working with a team member, usually like it's always good to have a new perspective and to offer it before someone have to ask. It's also a really great thing to do as a team member, because like people can spin their wheels and end up a lot of time in there. So as a team member, you're offering to mob and just like be a sounding board or be a part of the conversation. I think that's really commendable. And then just all around the way everybody is communicating, sharing what you're learning. I peeked into the pair threads at the beginning of the week and was like, oh yeah, everybody's doing good. It's like there are certain things that you're still trying to iron out, and it was good to see that it's in there. You're putting out there so people can kind of chime in when it's needed. So that's really great.
Yeah, I think this has been said several times, but great team discussion in the channel.
Yeah, and look, my next comment says the exact same thing. I think this is echoing what's been said, so I can leave it at that. But then my final comment to me again is such a quick turnaround on MRs. Like I looked and they were open like 6 days ago. So nice, getting it open, like that's awesome. And of course there was reviews that happened and feedback pushed, but really good stuff. Okay, and now the final column, starting with Rob.
Yeah, you only just mentioned this, but I think we need to improve the issue because it was confusing for me even reading it, like what inactive actually meant.
Mhm.
So I think we can do a better job of
Mhm.
refining that.
My comment was moving into next week. When I was reading through the issues, it looks like we're going to be really making decisions as a team of 4, and it's going to be crucial to get clear around how we can best tackle it all together and make sure that we have touch points for communication as we move into the week. So we'll really have to be we'll have to really put that out there at the beginning so that we can get as much participation as possible, so we get the best app we can. The more participation from everyone, the better it can be.
Yeah, totally agree.
I think I should have, like, when I got assigned the issue last week is when I should have been like, okay, what does inactive really mean? I think I waited a little too long to clarify. So yeah.
I'm gonna counter that and say that the brief amount of time that we have to read through the issue during the call, like you shouldn't consider that you need to be able to understand the entire thing during that amount of time. So I wouldn't put that on yourself, at least certainly not during the call. If you want to say that you should have asked sooner, maybe, but maybe not during the call.
Okay.
I mean, if you notice something that's confusing in the call, definitely feel free to ask. But yeah, don't feel like you need to leave the call with a full understanding of the issue.
Okay. Yeah. Cool.
All right, Dana,
The
you want
next
to take
thing
us
I wrote
home?
was when we collaborate. Yeah, I think when we collaborate and we know that we're going to have a challenge, we've been really good as a team communicating that. But I don't think, like, week over week, we might have thought about what that actually looks like if like we continue to have challenges pairing. So like I just a suggestion, like if, like, say I'm going to be out a complete week, or anyone else that needs to be out a complete week, we might want to just say, hey, I'm not going to be here this week, so that there's not an expectation that, like, that you're going to miss something or that I'm going to need your input to be able to move forward. I think we need to take a longer view on that as a team instead of just looking at it day by day. I think that could be helpful.
Yeah.
Oh, and I had one more comment, I guess. I'm very wordy today. It could improve the code quality to have all peers review our code, not just one. I know Viviana reviewed my code this week, but it wasn't reviewed by like all of my peers. But I'm sure that there are challenges, and that's cool and that's okay. But like, the more people that we can get to look at our stuff, the better it can be. So hopefully next week we have are on the team and strong together.
Cool. Yeah, very good points all around. All right, well, I guess that concludes demos for such a small group. We had a lot to go through, but all really good comments. So nice work. I will stop sharing my screen now too. Let's see, that moves us on to issues, I think.
So we reached week 6 and there's only 2 more weeks left. So this is where the fun part, or where it's could be also the crazy fun part. Maybe that's a better way of saying it, the crazy fun part. I think one thing we should clarify is that, so issue 13 is meant to go for the next 2 weeks. And this is where you get to design your app, and you get to work on the CSS, change layouts, do all the things that we tell you, oh, wait until the last 2 weeks. This is the time. So there's like an example of like design process. You can create a mood board as a team, and you can choose fonts and colors. I myself, when I work on my own personal project, I get stuck in like colors for months at an end. So so this is where you want to leverage your team to do that. I also want to address the thing that Dana mentioned earlier about how to be successful for the next 2 weeks. So here we want to empower you to write your own issues. and kind of self-organize and decide how to do things and break down the task of how to build the different layouts. So what I recommend is try to get as many team members as possible. Like you can plan out, you could spend the beginning of this week or this week planning it out. And when you feel that you have a design that everybody is quite happy with, then 1 or 2 people can take the task of, okay, let's break this down into different tasks. And you can write the issues, you can create the issues in here, right here on the right, new issues. So let's say you schedule a planning session with the 4 of you and decide on how you want the design to be. You can split up the work in terms of like page views or by navigation, just however you feel is meaningful chunks to break into smaller tasks. And in this time period, I think we encourage you to, if you need to work, like if scheduling is a problem, it's possible to work on a task individually and just have each other review the code and then merge when you feel comfortable with. Because this is like a lower stakes kind of merging where you're not going to break the functionality that much. This is where you have to leverage each other more. So it'll be a fun exercise and it'll be very different from what we have in the past. So I feel strongly the communication skills this team have and also the way you've communicated and worked async so far, that it wouldn't be a challenge. Sometimes in this phase, let's say what Dana was mentioning earlier, like, oh, well, there may be a challenge of getting everybody together. Then you can asynchronously communicate as a team, decide, hey, now we need to design this. Who have opinions, whose skill set is stronger, who would like to design this. You can also split that work up as well, where for some colors, like if you don't really care about colors, then maybe the person who cares more should think about the colors, that kind of way. So this is an opportunity to self-organize and see how far you get with this. And then there are frameworks that you can use. I think down here is an example of 5, but you don't have to limit yourself to these 5. It's really up to you. I had one team who was really into Tailwind, and one other person was really strong in designing with Figma, and she really wanted to make things pretty. So she kind of took the initiative to walk the entire team on how to use Figma. And then they had a few planning sessions together to design the app. And then after that, they kind of split it off and worked on the individual pieces. So everything is really up to your team on how you want to manage this part. The only thing I recommend is making sure you agree on the design before you start building. And I do recommend spending some time story writing and making sure you break down the task in ways that are manageable for each person. And I think that is like the hardest task to do in this part, like chunking work. And I've seen it happen before, and even with the engineering that I'm mentoring at work right now, in terms of when you get like do this big thing, it's very easy to start without wrapping your head around all the things that need to be done. So definitely spend this week planning and reach a consensus before you start coding. I was rambling a lot. Is there any questions?
No, this sounds creative, and like we can meet together, decide what we want it to look like, you know, write out the issues, and everybody can grab what they need to grab and partner up, and we can get it done. Sounds good.
Yeah. So you could partner up, you don't have to partner up, and you don't have to wait till tomorrow. You can start the conversation async. right after this. So then, because I am aware that Jeff is in another time zone, like it's night over there. So there's going to be challenges in how to reach consensus. So if you have, so this could happen, not this could happen, this is normal when you have one person who's in a totally different time zone. So you do have to reach a certain extent where if 3 people agrees, you have the majority, then maybe just move forward, because you can always go ahead and go back and change things, if that makes sense.
Sure, yeah.
I think this week will be fun. And I hate to break it to you, but it is me on office hours this week. So you might have had your hopes up for Yinli, but surprise.
No, I think we'll show up this week. We
Oh.
smoked you last time you had office
That's
hours.
true.
We didn't mean to, but it worked out that way.
Yeah, we'll have some fun. I think it'll be cool talking frameworks and whatever else y'all want to talk about. So it'll be cool.
Yeah, and if you want to do everything from scratch, like you can do that too. Because sometimes choosing a framework, you end up kind of having to wrap your head around the framework, which kind of can slow you down too. So lots of things to consider, but definitely whatever you can move forward in, and then things can always change as well.
Okay.
Do you guys like personally have a favorite framework?
I don't
I've
have a lot
not
of
used any
experience
of
with
those.
frameworks. Yeah, I've used Bootstrap a little bit in the past. I think I've played around with Material UI too, but kind of like what Yinli said, usually when I'm working with a framework, about like a couple hours reading the documentation for it, I'm like, oh, I could have just written this from scratch. I don't know if I need this, especially with working in something like React, where you can spin up a component pretty fast and make a button look a certain way instead of just using one out of the box. Because sometimes you'll use one out of the box and then you have to figure out how to like change the styles of it, and it's just like this whole thing that starts like a whole hole you start to fall down. So I think they definitely have their strengths, but historically I haven't relied on them too much.
I think where they can be really valuable is if you have a ton of UI work that you have to do, and so having that investment in understanding how these things work will allow, basically it's like a bunch of keyboard shortcuts, right, that you're learning to be able to get stuff done super fast. But if you're doing just a couple of things, but the other side of that is maybe you want to learn one of these anyway, so that you have take the opportunity now, when you aren't pressed for time on a specific project or whatever, and you can add it to your resume or whatever, to say that you have gotten some familiarity with some of this stuff.
And it is a nice way to make your app look real flashy, because a lot of their components look real good. So something to consider too. But yeah, weigh the pros and cons, and that can be one of the decisions y'all come to as a team.
I think one thing is, I agree with the flashy. I'm kind of on that boat right now where it's like, well, this looks really flashy and I don't have the time. But once you start wrestling with it and you realize that you have strong opinions about visually what something should look like, and these frameworks can be something that just makes you cringe a little bit, then that's kind of the deciding factor, because I kind of go back and forth between some of these. And then the problem with frameworks is that it looks like every other app that uses the same framework, unless you customize the theme, which also takes more time. But yeah, the part where it's like, what's a popular one? Is that something you want to put on your resume? That is something that you have worked on? Then that's sometimes a good deciding factor for side projects.
I'm definitely excited to see how this comes together, especially after being reminded that Viviana was a designer in a former life.
No pressure.
I knew that was
no
gonna come
pressure.
back to me. No, when I saw this, I was like, it's gonna be me.
And that's okay because it's like in a team, you want to leverage strengths, right? So
Mhm. I've been preparing.
Cool.
cool. Well, that's all I have. As always, we'll be checking in. If you have any questions, definitely ask in Slack. And if you need more help and stuff, like definitely ask.
Yeah, I'll probably be following up with like the PR comments and stuff.
Cool.
I'll try to pay attention to my email and stuff.
And I'll be sending out a little poll to figure out an office hour this week. Let's get that sorted. All right. Good call. Good call.
See you.
Have a good
Have a good
Sunday.
week.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.